or we do have a question period planned for the end of this, so you could hold your questions till then. It might make for a more um, fluid presentation overall, but I'll let you decide what you would like to do. Thank you very much for being here. I'd like to begin with a territorial acknowledgement and just acknowledge and respect the Lekwungen people on whose traditional territory the university stands, and I am on that territory right now. And we also thank the Songhees, Esquimalt, and Wasanic people whose historical relationships with the land continue to this day. If you'd like to put your own acknowledgement into the chat, you are welcome to do that. I'm going to kind of be behind the scenes today. Hi, Aaron. Glad you made it. And sort of managing traffic. And I'm going to hand things over to Corinne, who's going to begin this information session for us. So thank you all for being here. And Corinne, please take over.
Thanks, Andrew. So my name, as I mentioned, is Corinne Bancroft, and I am the chair of the curriculum committee in English. And so I'm going to give an overview of the changes for the new curriculum. And then I'm going to pass it over to Rebecca Halliday, who is the director of the professional communications program, who has some exciting updates about professional communication courses and the program. And then Erin Ellerbeck is also here. And so she is the English undergraduate advisor. And so at the end of the session, she and I will be available, and Rebecca as well, will be available to answer questions that you have. After Becky Halliday presents on the professional communication, I will do some more, I will provide some more like nitty-gritty information about how to change programs and how this might affect the courses that you choose to take. Okay, so that's the plan. So first, let me share my PowerPoint with you. Do you see it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so there are three major changes with this curriculum upgrade. The first one is ENISH is the new ENGLE. We had to change the course code because all of the ENGLE numbers were used up. And so we had no choice really with that. And we chose ENISH because it's the first and last two letters of the word English. Every ENGLE course that you've already taken will still count towards your degree. And that's in fact why we had to change it, because in their computer, they wanted to make sure that all the courses that were labeled as ENGLE still counted and were differentiated from the ENISH courses. So that's kind of the boring change. And the more exciting changes are we added a whole bunch of new courses that are organized around theme, form, and genre. And you can check out all of the new courses on the link that Andrew's going to post in the chat. But courses that are organized around theme, here are a few examples. Erotic literature is organized around the idea of sex, sexuality, and the erotic. Another course organized around theme is the epic imagination, about the theme of divine power, natural power, and political power. And love is another theme that some of the courses are organized around. So these are just a few examples of courses that you can take this upcoming year in the new curriculum. Oh yeah, and another one that I thought looked really exciting is the theme of religion and heavy metal music. We also have a whole suite of courses organized around form. And so those courses will look at like forms of literature, like poetry is one form of literature, or fiction is another form that literature comes in, or graphic novels. And so there's a whole suite of courses organized around form. Also, there's another suite of courses organized around genre. And so you might enjoy horror or speculative fiction or young adult fiction are all genres that you can study in the new curriculum. We have maintained our emphasis on literary history, which was the primary focus of the old curriculum. And so you still will find in the new curriculum courses that are about medieval literature, Renaissance literature, and all through the ages and eras and geographies up to the present moment. The third main change, so the acronym has changed, we added a whole bunch of new courses. And then the third change is we've more clearly differentiated the levels. And so the 100 level courses in the new curriculum all meet the academic writing requirement, which is true of the old curriculum as well. But we've kind of shifted the focus of those courses a little bit. And so you could either take NISH 101, which meets the AWR, which focuses on themes in literature. And so if you go to our website, you'll see that there's, I don't know, a handful of courses that are all NISH 101. And so each professor has chosen a different theme, and they're going to teach how to write at the university level by looking at literature organized around that theme. And so one theme might be environmental catastrophe, another theme might be laughter. And so both of those courses will still meet the same learning outcomes of how to write at the university, but they'll do so by reading different texts. Then we have NISH 102, which also meets the academic writing requirement, and that one is literature in action. And again, you'll find several different professors are teaching this course, and they're all doing it slightly differently. And so this particular course is focusing on a particular text, Things Fall Apart, and how it has influenced a bunch of other literary traditions. Another example is this course is focusing on Station 11 and looking at all the different allusions that happen in Station 11. So it's just a different way of learning how to write at the university level. So both 100 level courses meet the academic writing requirement. Our 200 level courses are survey style introductions to different areas and types of literature. And so at the 200 level, you'll find courses like How Drama Works, Women's Writing, and courses organized around nation, like American literature, Canadian literature, something like that. At the 300 level, we have courses that are like deep dives into specific areas. And so this is where you can get really intimate with a specific kind of literature, like coming of age novels or fiction in the United States, 1970 to the present. At the 400 level, we've introduced a new kind of course that is a capstone seminar. And so capstone seminars are small discussion-oriented classes that allow you to conduct your own research. And we think of these as kind of like a privilege for making it through the program. And so the one that I'm teaching is on critical race theory. And so we'll read a few novels that I think deal with the theme of critical race theory. We'll read theoretical texts around critical race theory, and then you will be invited to write or pursue your own research project related to a text related to one of these theoretical issues. Another capstone seminar is the resistance to literature. That'll read theory through the ages about, why people have resisted literature over time, which is actually, I think, maybe a little connected to the critical race theory class. But you'll also get to, at the 400 level, study particular themes that professors have published in. So Richard Van Oort recently published a book, Shakespeare's Mad Men, and so you'll get to do a kind of research intensive class focused on that. And at the 400 level, in these capstone seminars, you might have an opportunity to do experiential community engaged learning. And so you could go to the Point Ellis House and look in the archives there and develop your own research project about an artifact that you find through this class. Okay, so there's only two specific requirements for majors, NISH 200 and a capstone seminar. So NISH 200 is formerly INGL 209. And that is a small class intended to build on the AWR with discipline-specific strategies for writing literary criticism. And so the reason that we made this a requirement is because many students, when we were consulting about the curriculum change, told us that there were specific things about writing essays or doing literary criticism that they kind of didn't realize until their third or fourth year. And they said that it would be really good if we had a particular class that focused on equipping students with those skills early on. And so that's why we made NISH 200 a requirement. However, if you're already in your third or fourth year, you don't need to go back and take NISH 200. Instead, there's a blanket waiver. And the reason for that is because our previous curriculum did equip you with the sort of skills that we teach in NISH 200, but we did so in kind of like over a series of classes that you gained those skills by writing in a bunch of different assignments. And so you already have those skills if you're already at the third or fourth year level, so you don't need to go back and take NISH 200. If you are in your second year or your first year now, it's going to be a great course for you to take, and it'll set you up for success in the higher level courses. We believe that the curriculum upgrade offers you greater self-direction, flexibility, and autonomy because you can design your own path through the program. Because there are fewer specific requirements, it should be easier for you to add a major or to add another minor or a double major. And so that's kind of the general overview of the changes. And so now I'm going to pass it over to Becky Halliday to talk about the new ProCom changes.
Hi there. I don't have a fancy presentation because I want to make sure that I can emphasize here the much of the changes have happened in the English side of the program, but there are a few implications for professional communication, although these are all excellent ones. Essentially, I really want to emphasize that there are no updates or problematic changes that should affect current ProCom students. Like if you have taken ProCom courses, you've already been able to register in them, you've taken the Angle prerequisites already, you should still be able to take ProCom courses and enroll in the ProCom minor without any problem. The reason I'm saying this is because I've already had a few emails from students who want to make sure, now that the list of prerequisites is the ENISH courses, that they're not missing anything. And if you have your academic writing requirement and you have the versions of the prereqs that were in existence up until now, you are okay. Likewise, if you're interested in taking ProCom courses and you still need to take certain prerequisites, that's fine too. Just pick from the current list that's listed in the new academic calendar, those ENISH courses, and those will count in order to make you eligible to take ProCom courses. So you probably noticed that some ProCom, that all of the ProCom courses have the new ENISH course code. So some of the ones that already existed might look a little bit different from before, but the names should be by and large the same. It just might be a course number that's different. So overall, the change to the new English curriculum should not have a massive impact on how you can take the ProCom minor, especially if you're already registered in it. And I'm quite pleased to see more than a few names on here, hello all, who are already taking ProCom courses, so you should be fine. If you run into any problems, like you're sure you have the prerequisites or you're already in the minor and you have any issues with the system registering this summer, just email me at pcadvisor at uvic.ca and we will do an override and we will make all of that work out for you. Our aim is to facilitate people taking the minor, obviously, not turn people away. What I want to stress also, I've got notes, is that we have new courses next year. We have so a few faces are going to be changing, familiar. Richard Picard is on study leave next year. So I know he's a very familiar face. He won't be around as much. I'm going to be teaching, obviously, as will Gentry Sayers. He's teaching web design, and then Kim McLean Fiender is taking over the copy editing sections next year. So you will be seeing some familiar faces from the English side of the department. Likewise, we are introducing brand new courses as follows. In the fall, we are going to have a professional communication foundations course. That one is 200 levels, so it's a little more intro, but if you're interested in taking really fundamental professional communication skills and theory, feel free to enroll in it, and it can count towards your minor. And we are going to be doing speech communication and professional presentations. So we get to focus in on and drill down on public speaking and presentations, including everything from PechaKucha to pitch presentations and lots of different formats. In the spring term, I always want to call it the winter term, we are also going to be introducing courses called Strategic Communication in the Arts, Culture, and Tourism sectors. So really wanting to teach students communication skills for sectors that are really relevant to British Columbia and to Victoria especially, as well as a fashion communication course that I'm very excited to be developing for this department, looking at a lot of critical issues around communication within the fashion industry, but also practical skills in terms of communicating on behalf of fashion companies, marketing, promotions, as well as communicating for sustainability. So those are our new courses for next fall and spring. Another update too is that with the new curriculum, you can count up to 2 courses towards the English major without actually taking the Procom minor. So if there's those of you in the Zoom crowd tonight who are interested in taking Procom courses or want to sample a couple of Procom courses, you are welcome to do so, and you can actually count up to 2 of those towards your English degree. So this is a new update, and we're really excited about it, and pleased that the department is making this happen. And as a final note, obviously we do want people to enroll in the minor, so we're going to be undertaking some promotional efforts later this summer. So keep an eye out on the professional communication listserv if you're not already on it, because we'll be sending out some announcements of ways that students can participate, like a photo shoot that we're hoping to put together on, I think probably a Saturday, because I know a lot of you are doing summer work and co-op placements and stuff like that. So keep an eye out in case you want to come down to campus and be a model for some of our promotional photos, because we want students, right? We want our current students. All right, thanks everybody. Really lovely to see so many familiar names in these little black boxes here, and thanks so much again to Andrew and Corinne for letting me piggyback on this and promote Procom.
Yeah, thank you. I think that it's great, all these new courses and the possibility for students to take courses and count towards their English program. So now I'm going to get a little more boring, but I think it'll be important information for you about choosing programs and enrolling in English. So the first thing is you can choose to upgrade to an NISH major, minor, or honors program with the new requirements. Or you could choose to stay in an old ENGLE program. And so this applies to you if your first term at UVic was before this summer. And so if your first term was this summer, you have to do NISH. There's no other option. But if you are, have already been around at UVic, you get to choose. In most cases, it's better to choose NISH than ENGLE, because it is a new and improved and revised program, and all of the infrastructure at UVic is now supporting the NISH program. And so you'll kind of see what that means in a second. The way that I would choose if I were you is I would go to the English department website, which Andrew's going to put in the chat, and you'll find right there on the this is a special page dedicated to the new curriculum, but you'll see that there's a description of each of the programs: the major program, the honors program, the minor program, and the professional communication minor. There is a form there, a little PDF called Completing the NISH Major with ENGLE and Completing the ENGLE Major with NISH. Those are equivalency guides which walk you through the requirements for the old program and the new program and let you kind of map out what you need to do. So I'm going to pretend that I'm a student and walk you through one of those forms. So I'm going to start with, can you see that, how to complete the NISH major? Okay, so on this form, in the left-hand column, you'll see the NISH major requirements, and in the right-hand column, you'll see the old ENGLE equivalents. And if you see a red arrow like this, it means those two courses are mutually exclusive. Mutually exclusive means it's exactly the same course. And so you might be one of the people that likes to take two 100 level courses. And so if you've already taken ENGLE 146, you can't take NISH 101 and still get credit for it, but you can take NISH 102 and get credit for it. And so I'm pretending that I'm a third-year student, and I'm deciding whether I'm going to complete the new NISH major or stay in the ENGLE program. And so I go through and I see, okay, for the new NISH program, I have to complete one of these courses. I highlighted ENGLE 146 because I've already completed that, so I'm good with that requirement. I'm in my third year, so I don't need to take NISH 200, so I've completed that requirement. I need to complete 3 units of these following courses. I completed women's writing, ENGLE 200A. Actually, I only needed to complete 2 courses because it's 3 units, so I'm good with that requirement. And now I'm in my third year, and it says I need to take 13.5 units, which I think is 9 classes. And so I pretended that I've already taken 5 classes. I've taken ENGLE 360, ENGLE 464, ENGLE 366C, and Angle 449 and Angle 476. And so I have 4 more classes to take. But what I did, why it's helpful to highlight the ones that I've taken is because I noticed that the first 3 are mutually exclusive with ENISH courses. Special Studies in Shakespeare is the same as Shakespeare on Screen, so I can't take that one as one of my additional courses. The Bible is literature, and literature in the Bible, or the literature in the Bible and the Bible and literature are the same course, even though we changed the title and made it backwards. And the same thing is true with comedies. Shakespeare's comedies and romances is the same course. So I cross those off because I can't take them. But these 2, the last 2 that I took, Angle 449 isn't mutually exclusive with any course in ENISH. So that means I could take any ENISH course I want. And so too, Indigenous and Diasporic Literatures in Canada, I could take any course in here. So I've already taken 4 Angle courses that meet this requirement. And so now I need to take, or no, I'm sorry, I've taken 5 Angle courses that meet this requirement. So now I just choose 4 ENISH courses that are in this category that I haven't crossed off. And so that's how these equivalency guides are designed to work. Let me show you one other one that goes the opposite direction. So this is how to complete the Angle major with ENISH courses. And so let's say I'm considering staying in the old program. So I did the same thing. I said, okay, I've already completed one of these 100 level courses. I cross it off. I've already completed 3 courses in this year 2. So I cross them off there. I met that requirement. I complete 3 units before 1660. Okay, so I've taken those courses. I've done with that requirement. But hey, now I'm in literature 1660 to 1900. I've only completed 1 course in that set of requirements. So I cross that off the list. I need to find another course, and all of these courses are available to me to take that would meet that requirement. So if that doesn't make sense, you can ask me in the question period, but that is designed to help you decide whether you want to stay in Angle or upgrade to ENISH. The equivalency guides are meant to be a tool for you to use and to help you, but the ultimate authority is always going to be the academic calendar, which I'm sure you're familiar with, and Andrew's going to put the link in if you're not. And so this is a screenshot of a page on the academic calendar. So let's say that I want to take erotic literature. I double check in the notes section, because the notes section tells me what Angle course that course used to be. And if there's not an Angle course written there, it didn't used to be an Angle course. And so erotic literature used to be Angle 230 when it was, I think it was Literature and Culture 1, but only in these terms. And so if I took Literature and Culture 1 when it was offered as something else, I still can take erotic literature if I didn't take it during one of those terms. So the academic calendar is always the authority. Okay, so let's say you go through that exercise and you decide you want to switch to an ENISH program, but you're already enrolled in an Angle program. It's really easy to change. All you have to do is go to your online tools, click on Student Services, click on Program Declaration or Change, located in the Grades and Records heading. And in the notes section, write, I would like to switch to the new English, and then indicate which one program. So I would like to switch to the new English major, or I'd like to switch to the new ENISH honors program. And then they're going to process that behind the scenes and confirm that you have changed into that program. Another way to go about it is to meet with an academic advisor. Okay. So this is why I think, well, anyway, after you have declared a new ENISH program, your CAP report will show both Angle and ENISH courses. So that means that the equivalency guides aren't that necessary for you, because your CAP report is going to show you what you need to take. However, if you stay in an Angle program, your CAP report will only show Angle courses. And so that's why the equivalency guides are going to be really important for you, because you go to the equivalency guide and then you find out what you can take that will still meet those requirements. After registering for those courses, be sure to email the academic advising and request a manual update to your CAP report, and they'll do something behind the scenes that'll make it show that your CAP report is measuring the progress towards degree. So it's really important to email them after registering for courses if you choose to stay in an old Engle program. Okay, so that's it for me. And now any questions you have are welcome.
Hello, I have a question.
That's great.
If I am going into my second year and want to major in English, but I did not yet take any English department courses, do I still need in total 4.5 and simply include 101 or 102 or 200 among the 4.5? Or do I need to take 101/102/200 in addition to the 4.5? So I total take at least 6 units.
Hi, so my response in the chat was directed at your question. So now that I know that you haven't taken any English courses before, I can say definitively, you need to take the 4.5 units that are required in second year. In other words, looking at that program planning sheet that I linked to, you need 3 units, so 2 courses,
Yeah.
101, 102, or up to 255. And you need NH 200, that required course that Corinne mentioned. So you need those 4.5 units in second year, but you also need the 1.5 units that you didn't take in first year. So that has to be NH 101 or 102. So for lower level, and lower level means first and second year, in total, you're going to need 6 units of English, and one of those units has to be 101 or 102, and another one has to be NH 200. Courses.
So that means I need 6 total, in which I both need the 101/102 plus the 4.5 courses.
Yeah, so 6 units is 4 courses.
Yeah.
One of those courses has to be 101 or 102.
Yeah.
Another course has to be NH 200. And then the other 2 are up to you to choose from courses that go up to number NH 255.
Well, did you say is NH 200 a required course? I didn't see it in the required course list.
It is, yeah. So did you see in the chat where I linked to the new program planning sheet?
New program planning sheet.
If you click on that link, it shows you step by step, year by year, what's required to complete your degree, and NH 200 is listed as its own requirement.
But I didn't.
I just put it in the chat.
Oh, NH 200 is indeed required.
Yeah, so that's our new program planning sheet. They update them every year, and that's the one for this year. So that program planning sheet can be your guide for what's required to complete your degree.
On the sheet, it says 2 of the 101, 102 -255. What does that mean? For example, does that mean the number bigger than 102 but equal to or less than 255?
That's correct, yeah. And that, of course, only if you haven't already done the 101 or 102 to complete your requirement for the first year. So you can't take 101 twice in first year and second year, right?
Oh, I see. On the requirement sheet, I did not see 200 as required. So you're sure the one you gave is the firm requirement, right?
Yes, if you click on the link I put in the chat, 200 is there as a requirement. It's the first requirement under year 2.
Oh, I see. Thank you. And also, are there any blanket prerequisites for 300 and 400 classes? For example, can I take 300 or 400 level if I'm going to second year?
Yes, there are.
Go ahead, Corinne.
You have to take the 100 level course or co-register for the 100 level course before taking the 300 level courses.
So you mean I need to take 101 or 102 before the 300s and 400s?
Yes.
I see.
And for the 400, you have to take NH 200 before taking the 400.
I see.
That's a good question. Thank you. Are there other questions? Yeah, Logan.
Oh, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I'm going to my second year, And in the first year, I have I didn't declare my major, and I took ENGL 146.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't do so well in that class. I failed. And now with this new thing for ENSH for the second term, because in the first year, if I declared my major, I got to take ENSH 101 or 102, and because I didn't take it, so now I have to take one of those classes. But the mandatory class for second year is the ENSH 200, and it says complete one of the following. Does that mean I have to pass one of the classes, or does it mean I just have to finish taking them, or?
Complete means pass, yes.
Pass. So the good idea for me is for the first term to take 101, pass that class, and the second term to take the mandatory class.
I do think that would be the best path forward. Yes, absolutely. I think you stand a much better chance of completing the higher levels if you've passed 101 or 102 to begin with.
Thank you. Another question is the report. Every single time I try to get that report, it doesn't show for me. It always say something wrong with it.
It takes a really, really long time to load. You have to be patient. I don't know what kind of computing is required to come up with a CAP report, but it's several minutes. So one key is to just really make sure you let it load. But otherwise, I would get in touch with advising to ask them if there's a problem with being able to receive your CAP report, because we in English don't actually have any control over the production of CAP reports. That's advising.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And stay safe from the wildfire right now. It's crazy, the mountain fire. Stay safe from that. It's crazy.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, I put a question on the chat line. Should I read it out? It's
Yeah, you could read it out, or I could read it if you want.
Okay. I said, I don't really understand why it's considered an upgrade to transfer into the ENG program. I'm in 4th year, English major. Hi, Erin. From now on, the only courses we can take are ENG courses. ENGL courses don't exist.
True.
So Marjorie asked multiple questions.
To stay in the ENGL program, but you're saying it's to our benefit. Yeah.
Marjorie, because you've asked multiple questions, if we could just stop at the first one and I can answer that, and then we can get to the others. Does that work?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Erin.
Yeah. So why is it an upgrade? I mean, part of it's sort of marketing, right? We're trying to get everybody excited about the new program. There's nothing wrong with the ENGL program. It's just that we had been following a particular model for a very long time, and we decided in some ways to change with the times and not require students to take courses in particular areas if their interests lie elsewhere. It's not necessarily that NISH is, some entirely different thing that's in every way better. It's just that we decided to change the shape of the program. The reason I think that Corinne is saying that it's easier to switch to NISH is that now, as you just heard her say, the infrastructure at UVic is geared towards supporting NISH, and kind of trying to backfill your ENGL requirements isn't easy. We can do it, and absolutely, I'll make sure from my end, I can talk to advising, everything. I'll make sure that it happens. It's just that in many ways, it's just easier to not try to stick with ENGL, because NISH doesn't even have any requirements other than NISH 200, which you personally are already passed. You don't need that, and the capstone course. So if you want to take, as you say further down in your note, 2 times pre-1660, 2 times 1660 to 1900, and 1 20th century, because you want to be kind of a well-rounded literary critic, that's great. And you still And it's absolutely up to you, whatever you take, whatever you're interested in. It's just that you don't have to tick those boxes in order to come out of the program with an NISH degree. So the advantage is that there's just not as much required of you. It's more geared toward your interest. So I think that's why we're kind of saying it's an upgrade, if that helps at all.
Okay. Yeah, it does. Also, I was a little concerned, like the only new NISH courses that I can see are the ones that transfer over from Angle to NISH. And I noticed in the third and fourth year, from the 1660 to 1900 category, it's gone from 19 courses down to 7 NISH courses to choose
Yeah.
from.
Yeah, and that was deliberate.
I wondered why there was so few now to choose from.
So we tried to streamline our offerings because in some ways
Okay.
it's kind of unwieldy. We never offered 16 pre-1660 courses or 1660 to 1900. We never offered all those courses in any given year. Those are just the courses that are on the books. In other words, the courses that might possibly be offered
On tap, yeah.
Yeah, and so there's a long, complicated answer as to what happens to a course when it isn't taught for a while, and all these things I could get into. But basically, we just decided to streamline things. Now
Yeah, okay.
are kind of more capacious. You know, they're a little bit more like special topics courses. There are fewer of them on the books, but in some ways there should be as much variety as there ever was. They're just fewer possibilities in terms of numbers and what's going to be offered
Okay. So
in the calendar.
Corinne said something about well, there was one course, NH 334 about love poetry, but I've never seen anything like that in other courses that were mentioned. I've never seen them. Where do I get a list of all the NH courses that actually are on the books that I could take at some point? Because all I'm seeing, and I'm sure I'm not looking in the right place, all I'm seeing is the NH courses that correspond to the old Angle program.
Right,
Mhm.
that's a great question. So there's 2 places where you could see them, and maybe Andrew will put it in the chat. The first place is on the English department website. We have a list of all the individual courses that professors are offering this upcoming year. And then the second place is the academic calendar, which lists all the NISH courses that are possible.
Yeah,
And
okay.
Andrew will put that in the chat again too.
And Marjorie, do you know what we mean by the UVic calendar?
Okay, thanks. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've memorized it practically.
Okay. Yeah. I used to do that too. So the calendar has
Yeah.
all the possibilities. It doesn't
Yeah,
have
okay.
the calendar doesn't tell you exactly what's being offered this year, but it has the list of all the possibilities. In other words, back to what I just said, all the things that are on the books, right?
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. Well, within reason, what is offered this year. I want to see what is out there so that then when that comes along, I can jump on it and take it if I see a
Okay.
course I want to take. I did that
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, and I was waiting for a course to come up, and it didn't come up for 2 years, and then it finally came up and I jumped on it. So it's just knowing what's out there and what's possible to take whenever, you know? So,
Yeah, so the academic calendar will
That's
be
all.
your best
Thank you.
option for that.
thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. Are there other questions?
Just one last thing about what Marjorie was asking. My personal favorite way of figuring out what's being offered like in September is the UVic timetable. And it's kind of an ancient piece of technology that still seems to exist. You have to Google it. If you just Google UVic timetable, there will be a link and you just put in the term and the subject that you want to look up. So choose English and it lists everything that's being offered that term. I find that to just be the easiest thing.
Thank you.
One more question. I'm wondering if English 250 or 251 is harder than other classes. I'm asking because I saw that to get honors major, you need those two courses, but for regular, you don't.
I wouldn't say that those courses are particularly harder than other courses. I think that we have created certain requirements for honor students that are tailored towards literary history. And so those courses you could take as a non-honor student and do just fine.
So you would say those courses require for honors, but not regular, not necessarily because level of difficulty is different, but because you want honor students to learn literary history.
Yeah.
I see. Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
One more question.
But
Go for it.
Is it my turn or someone else's?
I think it's your turn.
In order to graduate with a Bachelor of Humanities in English, you have to both satisfy the English department requirement itself and satisfying the Faculty of Humanities requirement, like breadth requirement or credits requirement. You need to satisfy both, and the requirements you describe in this meeting are just the English language department. Faculty of Humanities is totally separate, but also required. Is that right?
Yes, that's 100% correct.
that's correct. Yeah. So the program planning sheet that I linked to, that's just for English. You also have to make sure that you're satisfying those humanities requirements that you just referred to. I alluded to it briefly when I was answering Marjorie's question, or trying to answer Marjorie's question, that part of the point of the NISH upgrade is that we want you all to be able to choose the courses that you're interested in, a program that you're interested in, right? And Corinne mentioned this in her presentation. And we're here specifically, I'm here as undergrad advisor to help make sure that this isn't a difficult transition. We didn't make these changes because we wanted to suddenly make it hard to complete your degree or anything like that. It's supposed to be as smooth and easy as possible. And especially if you're switching to NISH, it's really just making sure you have NISH 200 if you haven't already passed second year, and that fourth year capstone course that you need to do in order to complete the NISH degree. Right. Of course, you have to make sure you have the right number of English courses, but the requirements are so few now that in many ways, we're hoping it's a lot less convoluted to complete your English degree.
Yeah, so there's a question in the chat about transferring in 2001. So those requirements went towards the Engel program. To finish the program, I guess I have to finish the classes I haven't completed out of the new NISH curriculum. Yes, that is true.
Yeah, so Kaylee, if you're 2021, I have to figure out what year it is. If you already have third year standing, then you don't need to go back and complete NISH 200. We'll consider you to have already obtained those skills, as Corinne mentioned. If you have second year standing, you would. The fourth year capstone course, though, is required in order to complete the NISH curriculum. You're in third year. Okay, so yeah, so Kaylee, all that's required of you now is to complete the correct number of English classes and make sure that one of them is a fourth year capstone course. As far as, time periods, all that stuff goes, just choose what you're interested in. You're welcome.
Sorry, I just had a quick question as well. I just received my CAP report because I just declared my major. I'm going into third year. Um, and I guess I'd contact advising to waiver that English 209 or NS 200 course from my CAP report. Is that correct?
So you're wondering if you'll have credit for NS 200 and not have to take it?
Yeah, well, it just says on my report that I still need to complete English 209 or English or NS 200, but I don't because I'm going to third year. Is that right? Like I've completed
Yeah,
my second year.
that's my understanding.
That's my understanding too. And so here's a question though. Have you switched to the NS program? Do they?
She emailed me and said that I've been declared on the new English requirements that started in May, but she was unsure if I'd be able to waiver the NS 200.
Yes, you
requirement.
should be able to waive it, and there should be a blanket waiver. So
Yeah.
academic advising should know about that.
Okay, so should I just contact them, send them an email and ask about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Aaron, did you
Yeah,
have
and
another?
if for any reason there's a problem with it, they will just email me and I will just remind them that there should be a blanket waiver for anyone who's passed second year. In other words, going into third year
Yeah.
in September. It should be automatic. You shouldn't have to get permission or ask for it or anything.
Okay, yeah, because she left a comment that said she'd encourage me to reach out to the English department advisor to see if I'm eligible to substitute or anything. So I guess, yeah, that answers the question.
Yeah, so that's me, but you shouldn't have to do that. But maybe there's just some kind of hiccup in the system early on here, but eventually it'll be automatic. But you can just get back to her and say that I've said that it should be automatic and then
Okay.
get it to me if she needs to.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a question in the chat. Hi, I've completed Romantic Period 1 and 2, English 382 and English 383, and passed both courses. And if I want to switch to NISH program, would I be granted credit for both courses? I'm in my 4th year and I'm an English major student. Yes, you will receive credit for both courses. Yeah, and so that's one of the benefits of switching to NISH, because if it was ENGLE, they'd have to be mutually exclusive because the NISH is, we did consolidate those two courses into one course. But since it's still ENGLE, they're two separate courses. So that works in your advantage. So you get credit for both of those courses.
Yeah. I had a question about exactly this the other day. I think it can be kind of confusing in the equivalency guide, because as Corinne said, now those courses are collapsed into one. It kind of looks like if you've taken them both, you only get credit for one, but you do definitely still get credit for taking 2 courses. And because you don't have to tick any time period requirement boxes, it's just credit.
So if I don't switch to NISH and choose to stay in ENGLE, I will just get credit for one. No, you get credit for both courses regardless of your decision to stay in NISH or to upgrade to NISH or stay in ENGLE. So I do think that it is an upgrade to go to NISH. It's kind of like buying a car. Is like, you know, the manufacturing company just came out with a new car and we're going to sell it to you for the same price as an old car. And so why not get the new car? There's only a few reasons not to. One is you love your old car. It works great for you. It's like a vintage model. You love it. The second reason is you're almost at your destination. You're almost graduating. You've gone to every place you need to go in that car. You've met all the requirements. You don't have anything left to do to graduate with ENGLE aside from take 1 or 2 more courses. Might as well just keep the car and then, you know, get a new one when you go to grad school or something.
There is no ENGLE course that any of you have taken that won't count for credit in NISH. I promise.
I can literally hear birds and crickets chirping through my window, which may be a sign that we've reached the end of the questions. They've been wonderful questions, expertly answered. I myself have found this process edifying and can answer questions better now myself. But does anyone have any final questions? Well, I'll take that as a no, and I'll thank you all for being here. And I'll thank my colleagues for being here and being so helpful. And I'll encourage you all to continue on and enjoy literature in the new NSH program, which we are all very excited to be teaching in. I can tell you that. There should be new levels of enthusiasm.
One more question.
Oh, here's okay.
On the planning sheet, I saw it says a third year 2 10.5 level of electives required. Does those have to be English electives or any Faculty of Humanities elective or any UVic undergrad elective?
So they're not, if it's listed as an elective on the program planning sheet, it's not an English course.
Pardon?
It's not required to be an English course if it's listed as an elective, but I can't tell you exactly what you could take because you have to keep in mind how you're going to complete the Faculty of Humanities requirements.
So to clarify, elective, it does not explicitly mean it has to be English elective, nor does it mean it has to be non-English elective. Is that correct?
That's correct. You could take more English courses than are required for your major, so long as you're still fulfilling the breadth requirements required of you by humanities.
So the 10.5 elective can be either English elective or non-English elective.
As long as you're fulfilling all the requirements for a degree in humanities, yeah. I'm not sure, where do you see the 10.5 number? Under years 3 and 4?
Under year 2, I see 10.5 and
oh, year 2, okay. Yeah, so yeah, those are courses outside of the English department, but you'll want to check with the humanities requirements to see what's required of you to receive a humanities degree.
And one more question, if during year 1, I did not have a full course load, and if I took less than 13.5 units of electives, do I have to make it up in year 2? Or I have to simply ensure that total number of credits at the end of 4 years is sufficient for graduation?
Total at the end of 4 years. You don't have to make it up the very next year. You can make it up over the course of your degree. Nor do you have to complete a degree in exactly 4 years. So, you can also
if I did not take 101, 102, I have to make up 101 or 102, but electives, as long as my entire undergrad studies enough electives is okay, right?
Yes.
Oh, I see. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thanks for coming, everybody.